ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tom Carter.
Good afternoon, and it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. More than a feeling. I didn't even know that was going to be the song before I came out, but that's hopefully what the carriers are going to provide their customers, is more than an experience, but a true feeling. Tough act to follow. I mean, we've got David up, then we got Charlie up. I've seen Tim speak before, so this is a very difficult position to be in, and even after lunch. I would like to say, though, that I'm not able to give away any toys, but I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona, and here's my commitment. I made a phone call a little earlier this morning and said, bring that Arizona sun and no rain so we don't have to put up with that. So you guys are going to get that. That'll be my contribution. I'm just going to take about 20 minutes and step through F5, what we do as a company. I want to talk a little bit about who we are, what we do, some of the trends in the industry, what we're hearing from our service provider customers, talk a little bit about this announcement that we've done today, and talk a lot about how we're going to be able to partner in the future for mutual advantage. And the announcement that we made this morning should be out and on the web, and for everybody who has been participating here should already get that release. So here's a real quick snapshot of F5. Many don't know F5, probably because we stand behind our partners in 99% of what we do in the marketplace. And that means that we have channel participants, we enable them with our technology, and then they fulfill. We were founded in '96, went public in '99, and luckily it's been an up and to the right curve ever since. We just finished our Q2, we're a month into Q3, and our guidance is 355 in this quarter, up to 365, and we expect to be able to hit some of those numbers. We have all of the top 10 mobile providers. We have all of the top 10 fixed providers we call us customers, and we've had an excellent penetration into the cable space as well. So after the last 15 years, I'm very proud to say that as part of the service provider team at F5, that's a pretty good and pretty extensive list with some very big brand names. So what are we seeing from an industry trend standpoint? I think what we really see is unbelievable, stunning growth in fundamentally 6 areas. It's really, I think, between the apps, between the connected devices that continues to go up, all the storage that's required, all the connections, and the communication services that are blending between fixed, mobile, and wireline. It really allows for lots and lots of choices for our users. What does that really mean? For us, it means challenges to the service provider so that we can go to them with some solution sets. And there are more challenges impacting the network as it grows, and in some markets we're seeing 50% growth on data per month. Think about managing that network. So Tony would say, you know, an unbelievable situation where you're trying to bring new value to the carriers, but you're exponentially growing each quarter as well. So one of the themes that we go to our service providers with and our partners is rethink. How do you take the new capability that offers in the new technology to rethink the network, to really move to an experience for the customers as opposed to just a service? So interesting that the network and technology that we're talking about and the theme around smart and smarter networks, how do you enable that? How do we as a company enable that and work together with our partners? And really it's to enable those new devices and get to the point where we add capability. We're a $1.5 billion company, we've got lots of technology, and I want to take it down into a few fundamental pieces of what we do as a company. Since our founding, all we've done is IP. We started in the enterprise space, and we scale enormously large web traffic. So it's IP that we know at our heart and our heritage. We're able to inspect, modify, change, throttle, enhance, and steer. And most people around the world would know F5 as a, quote, load balancer. But at the core, what we do is we manage traffic. In fact, the operating system that we have on one of our platforms is called Traffic Management Operating System. And in order to get new capability, we put scripting and service capability around it called iRules. We also have introduced a very robust and distinct LTE controller, which I'll talk about later, that allows for a lot of signaling and delivery capability. And at the core, we also are able to enhance and modify and optimize traffic based on a number of things. It could be cell site, it could be a subscriber, it could be an application type. Whatever you can come up with, MSISDN, inside that envelope of that traffic is something that we can look at and enable for the carriers to do and create innovative services. So at the core, unique control and management of that IP services to be able to monetize and control costs. So that's what we essentially do at the very end. It's SDN and virtualization. Today, we offer capability for the cloud infrastructure that's already VE enabled in one product line that we have, and then we're going to talk today about Traffics, which is on the LTE signaling side, which is already on COTS, open technology platforms, which makes it easy to be able to take from a proprietary world to a non-proprietary world. Okay, so the service providers are evolving, and it may not be just evolving, I think it's more like a transformation. So what do we do? Very quickly. Users and devices, we don't know what's going to happen around those users and devices on the left-hand side. All things are changing. The devices are different, the user services are different, the apps are different. What we bring it down to is fundamental capability with, I showed up there in the propositions, to optimize, secure, and monetize. Everything that we do with our partners, everything that we do at F5 is around those tenets. To enable the 3 E's, as we internally call them. So from a vision standpoint, it's the economics, the enablement, and the experience. We talked a lot about experience. When you give a carrier, a partner, or other participants the enablement to look inside and to control that traffic, deliver it, and send it to different places, you empower them with instrumentation so that you can do things like personalization, so that you can have the ability to make sure that security is around it as a wrapper. We do this at very low cost. Clearly, the revenue is a challenge as the new services come in. At the tenet of what we do, we must be able to enable policy along with everything that we have to be able to introduce new services, which really means enabling the carrier to do more. On the far right-hand side of the slide, it's going to be in the cloud. People are making announcements. We're there today. We are enabling off-the-shelf hardware with our software in a very cost-effective manner so that we can transform from connectivity to applications. So one distinction, let me repeat that. From connectivity to applications. One thing F5 does, enables our partners, is layer 4 to 7. It's the application layer. It's not just at the connectivity layer of 1 to 3. It's very important to us. So I don't think this will go unnoticed by all of you, but their operators need to shift from connectivity providing compelling user experiences. We're focused on layer 4 to 7 that sets the stage for our ability to do service-aware and adaptive new services for the changing landscape because we don't know what's coming. And the network needs to move to a far more dynamic environment, whether it be the software solution sets partnering with the operators for policy control and management, it comes together. And I think this evolution is happening quite quickly. Not quite a revolution, but an evolution. In the old days, we've seen the stovepipes, where there were services and operations and control that didn't overlap. We're right in that middle phase, I would suggest now, which is that we have some TV services that are transparent across those stovepipes, and there are applications that have been able to be provided across those cores because of the common IP infrastructure. And again, because of the heritage and common IP, we think we've got some unique capability. So as you move to the cloud architectures, what that really means is a cloudified wireless area network that has Wi-Fi connectivity, multiple spectrum connectivity, and being able to get in so that you have the control functions that enable the operator to shift to the user experience and moving to a more cloud orientation and cost-effective infrastructure. Tony mentioned it this morning, and this has been a big topic of conversation. So just digressing for a moment, this is the current landscape that most CIOs and CSOs face with every day. And these threats are hitting quite aggressively. We don't go public with a lot of the things that we're enabling for the banks in the US and worldwide, but these DDoS attacks are real, and the nefarious acts are certainly going to get worse. These attacks types will evolve over time, and my suggestion here would be that in a couple of years, these will change and be something else, because those guys are going to move the needle. So it calls for intelligence. It calls for an ability to see inside the envelope to know what's coming and be able to address some of those patterns. We spend a lot of time with our customers addressing this market, and I think we're going to be able to do more. So on the theme of smart networks, the demand model and the revenue model of the network is changing, and we believe that those who have the subscribers, that have the money in the wallets, are going to demand what services those are. And it's not just going to be a one for all. The operations are going to have to be transformed to reflect that capability. And this is just to demonstrate that we have granular and subscriber control, different treatment depending on the app type, and the connectivity model to be able to enable all kinds of different service treatments as a part of the core. Okay, so that's a quick snapshot on F5. About 25% of our overall revenue comes from the service provider core, but is aggressively increasing, and I'm proud to say that we expect to be able to take that a little bit higher. So, LTE and diameter. It's a protocol. Diameter, as probably most of you know, is a protocol in the core that controls the content and delivery of services, and it also allows for the applications and the websites who gets what, when, and how. It delivers charging commands, and it's essential for the mobility management. So we're taking that as a foundation, as a base protocol from the world, in the old world, and saying, look, we need a peer-to-peer connection. And it's changing. So when we talk about signaling, this is LTE signaling. It's not SS7 signaling. And when we think about the old world, we went from a voice and conversational-centric world to now peer-to-peer. And quite simply, if you think about the number of transactions that would happen in a carrier's core with just one smart device, everybody's doing different services, all the background applications that exist back in the handset, think about the amount of signaling that's happening in these networks. As the iPhone 5 went into the networks, we were starting to get calls from carriers to say, our HSS is overloaded, it's falling, it's cratering. They did not anticipate the signaling, and it's really because of some of these fundamental differences where the carriers recognized in SS7 they could have failover management. This is now a peer-to-peer network that really requires dedicated message management and overflow, and you have to know what to do in states that you don't even determine or can predict. In the old worlds of airline tables for voice, I'm a gray-haired guy, I've been around the industry a while, but you used to be able to pull out what's the peak busy hour, what capacity do we need, and the predictability was there. That predictability does not exist as these new creative devices come into the network. And it's not just the handsets. It's M2M, it's all the new capability that's happening around the industry. So, we went out and we shopped around as a company to look for what we believe was the next generation of technology. Charlie made an analogy to Gretzky this morning. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. He also said, skate to where the puck is going. That's how you're going to be able to win. And so with the future state of what the LTE networks are going to be abounded about, we saw there's three fundamental tenets of what's required in the core. We've got a mature product that has strong contextual routing and management, peer-to-peer, that's very different than the SS7 world, and it manages that traffic through home networks and visited networks. And for probably lots of you, this is fully understood and recognized. The protocol connectivity and the manipulation that has to happen and the normalization is not a simple task. We have 100 people that do nothing but wake up every day and think about diameter. And they're in the infrastructure looking at the scaling of the messages, what happens in permutations and combinations as pulling the legacy protocols forward, like Camel, and on all the rest of the things with SIP, and what happens in the network. And what that means is you have to be able to scale, and scale like nobody's business. And I would say that high availability is a fundamental tenet. So just a real quick high-level architecture, and the reason this is important is because of the work that we're doing with GENBAND. This is an off-the-shelf, protocol-based service creation envelope with functionality built in. High availability on the left-hand side is part of the architecture. APIs, so that you have an interface to be able to do new and creative services, allows for us to have a layered component between all the connectivity that's needed to bring the legacy network forward, all the flow management and context awareness that I referred to. We've done a significant amount of configuration control and EMS, which gives our partners and our carriers visibility into what's happening in that infrastructure so that they can do some analytics around how to manage the network elements in a much more effective way. Our heritage is load balancing, and you saw that one of those components. One of the things that we found in this technology when we acquired a year ago, February, was they were head and shoulders above others. And they've done an exceptional job of architecting a very robust but modular infrastructure that allows us to do many things with. The wide lens is very interesting as part of a fundamental component that gives the full visibility to what's happening in the network. Okay, so that sets the stage for the fact that we are a channels company. We work with partners, and that's our go-to-market model. When we looked around and we found that we don't have an SBC, we don't have a session border controller, we don't like Acme, we certainly don't like Tekelec. We like Oracle because they're a partner, but on the other side of the business, on the other enterprise side of the business, the opportunity for us was to do a combination and take best of breed, and the announcement this morning is really based around that. So the objective here is to combine what we have in diameter with SIP. We're going to create a very effective one-box solution. It'll take us a little bit of time to get there because we're going to architect the solution. It's going to have all of the high functionality that I briefly mentioned in the architecture, plus more. We expect it to be very aggressively priced so that we can support voice over LTE and all the roaming that goes with it. It'll be mobility ready, meaning that it'll have some of the parameters of all that we have for registration between the networks all inside, and it will be enabled with a groovy script, which is the API that I talked about on the other side. And so for us, it just made sense. So here's the graphic of the build. If you think about the amount of networks that are being built out, what do we say here what is it, 100 and, there's many networks that are now building out that will continue to be, I think, an opportunity for both companies. The dominance and the reputation of GENBAND in the SBC space is one that we can capitalize on, and clearly they've got that infrastructure to be able to bring both customer sets and capability to us. So in this world, what F5 was looking for was a partner that had contracts, that had existing business, that is oriented towards the service provider support infrastructure, which is tough, and being able to negotiate those SLAs that, from an enterprise model perspective, some companies get hives when they think about what they have to step up to for the carriers. And so we really recognize that because of that footprint, because of the relationship, and because of the advanced technology, it really made sense for us to do the combo. And so we're going to take our off-the-shelf software stack, we're going to work with GENBAND on best of breed, and we're going to come up with, hopefully, some very compelling world-leading use cases. Whether that's going to be global application control, things that are creative, being able to take your usage capability out of the environment of where you are today and then roam and travel, go internationally. And that one bucket of what you have domestically, I think, should follow you. How about an enterprise where we could go to them and say, we have an all-you-can-eat plan that is only 20% premium when you roam? That can be enabled because of the flattening of IP. We could do tiered service plans. There are many different use cases that we can put in place. And again, the visibility that we have through the EMS gives the opportunity for us to combine, through similar purpose and similar capability, two very distinct planes. So we're addressing the control plane, the data plane, and bringing the legacy network forward. So for us, smart networks at the start of the day, whether it be on the LTE core or whether it be on what we call the legacy products from F5, context-aware and an ability to see inside and be able to enable that service and smart experience, I think is fundamental. But it's tough when you haven't lived the heritage of layer 4 to layer 7 and enabling a carrier to create services and applications that truly augment the experience to the user. And we think that we're able to empower the carriers to do that. Policies, but one, it's one element. There's much more that can be done. Flexibility is key. That's the API, that's the scripting language, and that's what we're able to do in order to be able to create new services because we don't know what's coming. unpredictable devices, and is the OTT or are the OTT players truly a threat? I think they're an opportunity. I think there's some alignment there that can be created. Quick piece on security. If it isn't secure, it gets hacked. It doesn't matter how great the services are, the experience is going to be lousy. It's got to be the fundamental tenet of where the operators need to start, and it's more than just the front end on the firewall. Lots that's going on in that area. And we feel, with this announcement, it's a fundamental building block. And so with the carrier customers that are here, with GENBAND sponsorship, we look forward to the opportunity of establishing what's most important to you in the service provider core, what we can do to help, and if any time there's something we can provide, I'd love to have it. There's the contact information, and just a quick thanks to Charlie and the crew for a fantastic venue and the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Tom, that was great. I know I'm surprising you on stage because I don't know, but right before lunch, I don't know if you were here, but
I was here.
One of our strategic partners, Samsung, they gave almost everyone here a new Samsung Note 2.
Almost everyone?
Almost everyone. And what I'm thinking here is with this new partnership that we announced today, there's got to be something that we could ignite our new diameter partnership with F5. What do you think? You're a sales guy. Can you think on your feet?
It can't be free, right? We're not talking about free.
Personally, I was thinking free, but...
Well, no. For you, it's free. Okay, well, for you, free. Good idea. Why don't we do this? We have a special program that we do for early adopters. And we've been doing that on the traditional diameter core for a while, and there's only a few of those. So why don't we do this? Why don't we do special pricing, we do special programs.
Like zero pricing?
Pricing is definitely special pricing, better and more aggressive pricing. And with that, if there happens to be one of your carrier customers here, what we should be able to do is I'd like to be able to announce it to the world that we've got this leading next generation technology. So if they help us, we'll help them. I think it would be a great partnership. How about that?
Well, we'd love to seat our first 3 customers, so let's make it happen.
Can we show of hands? Who's the first 3 customers?
All right, hey, we're really looking forward to this
Thanks,
relationship.
Charlie. Appreciate
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.